All right. Thank you so much, and very great. Good afternoon, and welcome to the last sessions of the day. So the topic of the panel discussions today is consumer trust and digital identity, the role of e-commerce trustmark. Happy to be your moderator today. My name is Sokka from the EU German Gate project. So the project is implemented by GIZ Cambodia, funded by the European Union and German government. We have had opportunities to work with a lot of government partners, including the Ministry of Commerce, on a lot of things, including the digital trade policy and other partners, including customs, on the rules, procedures. I'm happy to moderate this session. And to set the scene, Cambodia digital economy is expanding quickly. We are talking about many platforms. CambodiaTrade.com is one of them. But then consumer trust is still a challenge. So e-commerce trustmark can play a big role in building that trust. But that role can be exercised effectively only when they are backed by credible digital identity systems, consumer protection, and ideally, regional recognition. So today, our discussion will explore what trustmark means for Cambodian consumer and business, how digital identity and consumer protection underpins their credibility, and what opportunities exist for regional alignment. We have together right now on the stage 4 esteemed panelists. His Excellency Ching Bota, Deputy Secretary General of the Digital Government Committee, Ministry of Posts and Telecoms. We have Mr. Som Chatra, Director of the Legal Affairs Department of the Ministry of Commerce. We have Niri Rat, ADB consultant. She has been working a lot on e-commerce trustmark scheme for Cambodia. And then Mr. Sharif, Chief Business Officer of Smart Axiata. Instead of me reading out their bios, allow me to invite each of the panelists to briefly introduce themselves. Maybe start with His Excellency.
Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Wata Chiang. I'm the Deputy Secretary General of the Digital Government Committee here in Cambodia. I have over 18 years of experience in business process re-engineering, change management, and business development. Work for companies Oracle, PwC, and here local conglomerate Chipmong Group before joining the Digital Government Committee. Thank you.
Chatra?
Thank you so much. Very good afternoon. My name is Sam Chitra. I'm the Director of the Legal Affairs Department, Ministry of Commerce. I have worked for the Ministry for almost 12 years. This is my 12 years within the Ministry. Mainly, I focus on the legal issue in the Ministry. But for the last 5 or 6 years, I've been focused much on e-commerce and also digital trade and digital economy. And currently, I'm the lead negotiator for the ASEAN Digital Economy Framework Agreement. We know the DEFA, and also a few e-commerce chapter under the free trade agreement ASEAN with the dialogue partner like the ASEAN China and ASEAN Canada as well. Thank you so much for the opportunity for today.
Thank you, sir. Nirirat, your turn.
Thank you, Wong. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Niri Rawat. I am the partner at DFDL and also national consultant for ADB. And my specialist is in banking, finance, and also technology. So the past 6 years, I've been working on the e-commerce regulation together with Bong Chatra, and I also assist ADB and also the Ministry of Commerce on the trust smart scheme as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Rod. Sharif?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, and thanks for having me. I'll introduce myself. I'm Sharif. I'm the Chief Business Officer of Smart Axiata. The past 20 years I've been around Asia, working in multiple telecom groups, handling digital, enterprise, as well as consumer front in the telecom. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharif. Before we hear insight from our panelists, allow me to do a very quick online poll just to engage participants on the floor and surface your perspective and prime you for the topic of the panel discussions. Maybe the team can bring up and allow me to stand here. So it's a 3-4 quick online poll. We can join this through the QR code scanning. Please go to the next slide. And then we have the QR code. And hopefully everyone has access to the internet. Please join the online poll just to, engage a little bit. Because this one is the last sessions of the day. I hope everyone's still fully engaged with us. Thank you. I'm sorry, our panelists, because everything is appearing at your back. But I hope this result of the poll will give us some ideas on and maybe shaping how we can discuss the topics going forward in the next minutes. All right, we have 56 people joining right now. Anyone has no access to this one and you're interested, please come in. Otherwise, I will proceed to the next slide. I hope everyone joined already. All right, 62, thank you so much. And then we can proceed to the next one. So, the first question, how confident are you when shopping online in Cambodia? To our foreign friends, I don't know whether this still applies, but to those in Cambodia, I hope this applies pretty well, right? Online shopping in Cambodia. Okay, very confident, but let's see the number there. Only 5. Somewhat. All right, อันนี้จักแสอันนี้จักแสมองนั่นไง and neutral นี่ก็จักแสได้ចឹងកន្លែងចម្លើយចាក់ខ្សែគឺច្រើន Okay, not very confident. I hope be frank with us, right? Because this is organized by Ministry of Commerce and we are trying to do, in terms of the legal, in terms of the regulations, in order to improve the situation. So tell us your perspective, your insight, right? Don't be shy, all right? So not very confident and not confident at all. That one is very discouraging. Yeah, but it's very useful. Thank you for your frank answer. Okay, everyone push the button, submit your answers. Let me go to the next one then. All right, the next question, before today, were you aware of e-commerce trustmark in Cambodia? All right. Yes, the number yes is the number for yes. Not aware at all. Trustmark is using, of course, right? But hopefully it becomes something more familiar to everyone in the coming years, if not months. ADB is supporting Ministry of Commerce, and Ministry of Commerce is working hard on that, right? So I think this reflects the current reality, right? Okay.
But Bong, I would like to add on a bit.
Please.
I have to defend my team and ADB because I think that the reason that they're not aware of the trustmark scheme is because the law we're still in the process
Yes.
of adopting the law. So nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No,
That's the reason why a lot of people don't know it.
At least the term.
Exactly.
Right? And that's the subject of our discussions shortly. Please go to the next slide. Going to the next slide. Okay, in your opinion, what is the biggest barrier to trusting online shopping in Cambodia? So we give you a number of options where we think fit in our context today. Lack of verified digital identity for business, weak consumer protection, dispute resolution, fear of fraud or scam, right? Lack of regional recognition for Cambodian e-commerce. Others. We don't ask you to input when you select others, it's okay. This is for initial reaction. All right, fear of fraud scam. Whoever shop online in Cambodia and experience scam, do you dare raising your hand or something like that? Just to share your experience? No? Oh, you? Okay. One of the panelists?
Then we can hear her stories later.
Yes.
Huh?
Online or offline?
But it's very encouraging that network is not in the list on the challenges. You
I
know,
know.
that's quite pleasing, especially for Smart.
I know you are here, that's why. Okay, thank you so much for joining, giving us your perspective. We have one last question, all right? Would a government-backed trustmark influence your decision to buy from online store? We are talking about Cambodian context. All right? Yes, definitely, very encouraging for our colleague at Ministry of Commerce. And maybe depending on the store, still considering. All right, not much different. No, it would not affect my choice. Lukim Tirata is not here right now. Maybe give some initial reactions to the answers. Yes, definitely, it's very encouraging, and hopefully this gives a lot of courage to Chatra and Rod in their ongoing work. Thank you so much for participation, and let's move on to our panel discussions. All right, first question, let's start with the trustmark itself, right? My question firstly goes to Chatra from Ministry of Commerce. So what is the primary role of the trustmark today? Not so many people are familiar with the concept. So perhaps a few detail on the concept itself, and then talking about the role of the trustmark, particularly in the context of Cambodian e-commerce. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bong, Mr. Moderator. Since this my first time to be the panelist or speaker in the Digital Trade Forum, even it is the second time for Cambodia, but it's my first time to attend as the speaker. I'm very delighted, and thank you so much for Mr. Moderator for preparing the very interesting session, and also thank you so much for the organizing team for the Digital Trade Forum. That very excellent arrangement and also well-designed agenda for the event. Before I go straight to the question, let me introduce a bit about the trustmark, how we define it and how it works, because based on the poll that we just seen earlier, not many people know exactly what it is, and still many people don't know what is the e-commerce trustmark yet. The concept of e-commerce trustmark was officially introduced in Cambodia legislation in 2020, just a few years ago, in the subdegree 134 on the determination of Thai and procedure for the issuing the permit and license for intermediary and e-commerce service provider. So the trustmark concept just touch upon if you want to promote confidentiality, promote trust and compliance in your business, you may apply for the e-commerce trustmark. But the detailed arrangement for the trustmark itself will be set under the MOC Prakas, that we are ongoing to do it with with the support from the ADB and with our expert here. And I believe some people may attend, also attend our validation workshop on this, and also have some background knowledge on this. Back to the Trustmark itself, there is no official definition as yet, because in the sub-degree itself, we don't provide any detailed definition of that. So just for your information now, because we don't have the official one, the Trustmark probably refer to a digital logo or electronic format logo that you can use or embed with your digital platform. For example, the e-commerce website, the e-commerce marketplace, or the software or application or whatever, to show that this kind of platform is trust, compliant with the legal requirement, and also promote the standard in providing e-commerce service. So just the basic concept, and we will work more on this in the legal perspective to create a legal certainty for everyone. Come to the question, what is the main role of the Trustmark itself, whether it is to promote the domestic e-commerce, or we aim to reach out to the outside market or regional market or international market. The primary role is to promote the domestic e-commerce, because we understand, based on the poll, I think just 100 of people here, your choice in doing online shopping is quite different. Someone is very confident, someone is not yet confident, someone is still thinking whether we can do or cannot do. So this could be because of a lot of reasons behind, but trust is the more important thing, I believe. So that's why the Ministry of Commerce has put the initiative in place. It's been 5 years ago that we thought about this, and we will try to work it in the different context, the legal context, and also technology perspective as well. This is what we are thinking. For now, we want to promote our local e-commerce, and how the scheme works is like we set up a voluntary scheme. It means that if business people, when I talk to the business here, I refer to the intermediary and also e-commerce service provider, not business in general, because business in general, they are not subject to apply for this. Only the intermediary and also the e-commerce service provider, they're subject to apply for this. If they think the Trustmark can build up their reputation, build up their name, and also build trust among consumers, they may apply for it. We are not forcing them to apply for the Trustmark. Or in another word, we can say it kind of a reward scheme for those business that comply well with the law and regulation. In the Trustmark itself, we set a few criteria. Probably I can mention briefly here. For example, the principle of fair contracting term, the principle of honest advertising, the principle of personal data protection, the principle of the dispute settlement or whatever, and also the principle of gold transaction and also a payment as well. So it could be 5 or 6 main principles to be embedded with this kind of Trustmark. So I hope our expert will provide more, because I don't think we have much more time to explain on this. Yes, thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Chatra. I understand the law is still in the development phase, right? But the initial thought is that it's a voluntarily scheme. So from my perspective as shopper online, right? If I see an online store certified with that trust mark, I can more confidentially go to their store and then shop with them. Is that the concept?
Yeah, is that the concept? It's like roughly if we go to the e-commerce website, I don't know how people look for their first look. Probably they look for the product, they look for the service, whatever. But to me, I look for the trust. Because we don't know whether this one, even some website, they design very close to the real one. For example, the Amazon or Alibaba, they design very close. But this one is kind of scam or phishing or whatever. They can easily take your personal data. They can easily take your bank account information or whatever. So the trust is very important for, in e-commerce. So I believe for people that when they see this kind of trust mark, they can more rely on. They can believe that the website or the platform is safe to be transacted with. This is the concept.
Thank you. It's part of the Trustmark 101 right now. Come back to Sharif, from your perspective, from Smart Axiata,
Yeah.
right? What does a Trustmark represent to Cambodian customers and business?
Yeah, I think just now it's already mentioned that it needs to represent some trust, right? Me, myself, if I were to, being in the industry looking for millions of customers, trust is never been left out and has always been the most important thing. If you can gain trust, then it's okay. So for us, looking at this it's a advocation of legitimacy, this trust marks, right? So that people can say that if I do business or if I do anything on this website, the business is not a fraud, it's safe, right? And there are a couple of other things as well. Do you know that in e-commerce, what is the steps that is mostly hindering customers from finishing the transaction? One of the steps is actually on the checkout. So people can browse, people can see, but 80-90%, if you ask all the e-commerce providers, they will say, yeah, how do I resolve checkout? And by having trust marks, obviously they will need to go through security, TLS, SSL on doing transactions, right? Now by having that trust marks, somehow it builds confidence and they can check out quickly. So that's the second one. The third one that we see is it can create some kind of a legitimacy on, this e-commerce store is having a good code of conduct, for example, having a good, one important thing is dispute resolution. So if you shop, you don't want to face problems or trouble, but if you happen to have troubles by doing or shopping things in the website that have these trust marks, the dispute resolution, at least you have a confidence that they will try to solve it or at least doing in a compliant way to solve a problem for you. So that's I think what I see as an end user and also from the business side of things. Yeah. So
Thank you, Sharif. Before I move on to another speaker, I encourage the participants on the floor, take note. If you have some questions, so that we leave sometimes toward the end of the sessions for collecting questions and then answers, right? His Excellency from MPTC, we know that the ministry mandate is in digital infrastructure in the telecom sectors. So from the ministry's perspective, how does this quality of digital infrastructure telecom services influence the consumer trust in e-commerce platform?
Sure, thank you. Before I get to that, answer that question specifically, I just wanted to take back about 3 years ago in 2022. At that time when we were starting the Digital Government Committee, and we are looking at all the different policy, different country within the region, globally. What is the main issue here? Not just in different country, but here in Cambodia specifically. And what we found out is trust. So the goal of the Digital Government Committee when we first started out is to build trust. So it's kind of related to what we're doing here, that trying to build trust not from a perspective of public service, but from an e-commerce perspective. Now, what MPTC doing is we're positioning ourselves as an enabler. We don't influence anything, and we build a foundation for it. Right? If you want for the e-commerce to work, there has to be connectivity. The infrastructure has to be in place. Also, the application itself. So, as part of what we study is that the digital transformation, I think before they think about 80-20. Technology is 80%, 20 everything else. But currently, this, what we say is that it's the reverse. Technology is only 20% of the work. 80% is build that trust related to all the stakeholders involved. No matter how powerful or how expensive or advanced or innovate your technology is, if you do not build that trust with your stakeholder, it will not work. You put it in, they say, oh, they always find reason. It doesn't work. It doesn't follow my flow. Oh, it doesn't do what I want. At the end of the day, you waste $100 million that no one uses. So from that perspective, we are focusing on that to ensure that there is foundation infrastructure in place and there's certain application as well as certain policy in place. Second thing that we're doing is also based on the foundation is capacity building. So we're doing a lot of training for our government employee as well as promoting technology in place so that way a lot of people are start to get involved as well as major in technology related, especially women. Our term of the women resource are pretty low here in Cambodia, so we're trying to push that as well. Thirdly, as part of that, we want to position ourselves, we want to have a certain policy in place. So we are working on a few policies that will be rolling out soon. One of them is the Cloud First policy, which importantly, it has the data classification that help clarify a lot of issue in terms of where the data should be. And lastly, in terms of how to build trust, it's all about how you manage everything. That's why part of what we call change management in the work as well.
A step back. So I think when we are talking about the e-commerce, right? People living in remote area, for example, they can access the e-commerce platform only if they have the internet connectivity or digital infrastructure necessary for that. Telecoms, for example, people are not using the Wi-Fi, but people are having the telecom mobile network, and then they can access the internet. So what is the current status right now in terms of this digital infrastructure development in the country in support of that e-commerce activities?
Sure, thank you. MPTC is working, we have this new connection submarine cable coming from Hong Kong, and now what we plan to do now is, in terms of coverage in the major city, it's pretty well good. And now the next phase in our plan is to ensure that within the Srok and then in Khom and hopefully get to Pum that have the connectivity. But also I want to reiterate, right, in terms of service, currently in service here in Cambodia, even though you're in a province, you still get connection, although it's not real fast like in Cambodia, it's still able to work. Therefore, it comes back to when you develop something, when you build trust, how can you leverage that? For example, when we roll out our verify.gov.ka, we're looking at all different technology, different solution architecture. We ask the same question. What about people in the rural? It has to be included. We can't exclude people in there. Therefore, we redesign our entire system. Even with 2G connection, you're able to verify the document, no problem. So it's two things that need to focus on. That is, we built the infrastructure, and as well as don't depend on the infrastructure itself. We're looking at the country like US, full coverage. Their e-commerce just picked up the last recently. So the internet connection does not play a major role in terms of the e-commerce drive. So it's something else. In Cambodia, I think it picked up recently due to COVID. So a lot of people want to order online, but also it's a matter of how you do planning as well. We mentioned about business perspective.
Very positive. Sharif, we spoke briefly before we came up here, right?
Right.
You want to add some perspective on that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we work closely with the telecom regulator, with MPTC, with the guidance. I think if we want to make this successful, the urban-rural digital divide, is what we call it, needs to be minimized as much as possible, right? For Smart itself, we covered 99.6 population across Cambodia with over than 4,000 BTSs across the country. And what we looked at it is actually not in terms of spotty connectivity, but very fast. But we looked at consistency, reliability, and actually having more connectivity across the board consistently is much more important. And again, this is aligned with addressing this urban-rural digital divide. Without connectivity, digital ID, trust marks, it can only be just a slogan without real implications to populations and Cambodians, right? So that's, yeah.
So hopefully we are working toward Trustmark, but at the same time, we are working to close that divide you raised just
Exactly.
Thank you, Sharif. Rods, you are working for ADB as one of the experts on the Trustmark. From your perspective, do you see it? So to the online store, for example, do you see this as marketing tools, right? Or is it about having a clear standard for them to follow?
Thank you, Bong. Very good questions. So I try not to speak very technical. I try to make it very simple. So what is e-commerce and what is Trustmark? Why is it related? So electronic, full sentence as electronic commerce is something, different. It's not very different from traditional commerce, like where now we have all the shop here, then you just walk in and buy, right? But while for the e-commerce is different, everything on visual, on tablet, on device. So that's why the regulator have to step in to protect the consumer and also make sure that it's safe to use and also very fair as well. That is why we have an e-commerce law. And then under the e-commerce law, we also have a section where required to have a trust mark. So what is trust mark? So trust mark is a mark that verified by Ministry of Commerce or probably jointly together with a third party. In the future, we still don't know yet. So Trustmark will play a really important role to build trust and also have a certain level of safety for the user and also among the players as well. Given that e-commerce law is quite still new for Cambodia, to be honest, for 6-7 years still very new. So industry is still new. So that is why regulation plays important role and also regulator also play important role to protect the consumer and also the industry as well. And I also can give you some perspective as well. Like for example, like in Malaysia, Philippines, Indonesia, I'm not sure about Indonesia, but Philippines, they all have Trustmark scheme. While Cambodia, Myanmar, and also I think Brunei not yet have this trustmark scheme, which means that probably Cambodia sooner or later have to have it among ASEAN, right? So we have to be able to sell or buy the product from other country because e-commerce is not just within Cambodia, it's between Cambodia to outside and outside to Cambodia. So that's important that our regulations and also the scheme has to be aligned with our neighbors. That is why this scheme is very important. Yeah.
All right, may I add on to that one? Having trustmark scheme, is it the kind of regional commitments that ASEAN need to fulfill, or is it just every country doing it out of the benefit of having the trustmark?
I believe that's probably something wrong to answer, but I can answer from my own perspective as well. So we understand that ASEAN also have an e-commerce ASEAN framework as well. So which means that it's a commitment for the ASEAN member have to want to have the regulation, and two also probably aligns with among ASEAN as well. Because if we have the regulation that's not practical or not aligned with the neighbor, so how do you do business as an e-commerce? Like you buy or sell each other, and sometimes it's business between business and business. So I believe that we have to, and also on the top of that, as a part of WTO, we require, it's a must. If you want to be a WTO member, you need to have a certain regulation, and one of them is the e-commerce law. And then whatever regulation after that is really up to the state member to regulate. Yeah.
Right. Chatra, you want to add something?
Thank you so much, Bong, for the question, and thank you, Nerira, for touch upon on the regarding the trustmark scheme at the regional level. Probably I provide a little bit background on this. Perhaps everyone can understand on the issue of trustmark. Let's say e-commerce is a trade bloc among the 10 countries. Everyone is know about this. Regarding the e-commerce, we have our specific agreement among our 10 members. We so-called the ASEAN Agreement on E-commerce 2019. And later we have the a bit upgrade of the commitment like we seen in the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership or sub-agreement, and also later ANFTA agreement, ASEAN-China or whatever. A lot of commitment have been upgraded from the existing commitment. Regarding the trustmark itself, at the ASEAN right now, we produce a so-called policy recommendation for the ASEAN trustmark scheme. This one is a non-binding document for 10 ASEAN member states to take consideration or take as the reference when they develop their respective trustmark. So I can touch upon on this because I'm the one who handling this kind of matter. Back at 2022, when the Cambodia as the chairmanship of the ASEAN, and the ASEAN Trustmark Scheme is one of the PAD for Cambodia. So at the end of the day, we achieve so-called the policy recommendation for ASEAN Trustmark Scheme. So the scheme itself will develop the two tier of trustmark. First one, the domestic trustmark. It's like in Cambodia, we have our own trustmark. In Thailand, they have their own trustmark. In the Philippines, they have their own trustmark. So each country can have their respective trustmark scheme, whatever voluntary or whatever. But at the regional level, they have one more tier. So the important thing is like how we work at the regional tier, because it's like we recognize the scheme among our 10 AMS. So the scheme will be embed a few elements that I highlight earlier. For example, the voluntariness is a crucial scheme for some AMS, because some AMS, they view it is hard for their business to comply for the high standard of trustmark. For example, and for some countries, they did very well already. For example, the Singapore, Indonesia, or Malaysia, they did very well already in terms of compliance. But some countries, it's still difficult. So they're afraid that the domestic player cannot reach out to that kind of standard. So that's why we set out the two-tier approach for MS to consider. I don't know how much time I can share on it, but it's quite interesting. If you want to hear more about the ASEAN Trustmark scheme, we can discuss later.
Yeah, I think Chatra gave Trustmark 101 initially, but right now it's a more advanced insight, right? Anyone interested to hear and understand better and more on the Trustmark, please come forward to Chatra to get further information. Let's move on to another topic about the digital identity, because Trustmark is only reliable when they are supported by, very good digital identity systems. For this, I would give my first question to His Excellency Bong MPTC, Ota. What is the status quo there, right? And what is the role of the Ministry of Posts and Telecoms in ensuring this effective, very good digital identity system in the country?
Sure, thank you. I think we'll briefly talk about it earlier about the digital identity. The term is very popular recently. Every country, every state have been trying to implement this. But we also look into it. It's just a brief background into it before I directly answer the question. Is that when we're looking around, even you talk about the country when the biggest is US, they don't really have a digital identity. Closer to home, Singapore, I think everyone have a misconception that they have digital ID, but they don't. They have SingPass, but not digital identity. So digital identity is very new, and everyone wanted to implement it. And when we do a lot of research and account closer, and then we look into within the region. One good example is Bhutan. They implemented, but not very successful, because the foundation's not there. Their connectivity is not there. They did not build their digital citizen. Therefore, they have digital ID created for a citizen, but for what purpose? I know that there is an example with a certain country, I won't name too much, is that they have used an incentive for getting the citizen to use that digital ID, but it's one of those things where you put an incentive, they use it, afterward they don't use it anymore. So it's meaningless for that. So we have to be very careful in terms of digital ID, is that how you classify that, what is digital ID, how does it relate to e-commerce? There is no in place clearly state that yet, so I'm not really sure how the digital trust and that is being managed that. But from a perspective, how can we support that? Is that MPTCs cannot create a digital ID, or we manage that. It's based on the government decision. Therefore, what digital MPTC can do is that we can provide a guideline, issue some policy. Of course, there is, when we talk about digital, it has to have a security, cyber security in place. The government has created cyber security committee that able to help with that as well. Then from MPT perspective, we do have our expertise in terms for solution architecture, AI, our expertise that can help with try that and set up properly, of course. And just one example, very good example for verified account. It's very dear to me, so I bring it up again because it's one of those flagship that we first rolled out as a digital government committee, as well as not rolled out nationally, but internationally as well. That we're doing a lot of research. We look at different countries, and we see that internationally, currently, the hot topic is similar to verify. They call it verified credential. We study that. We look at the different countries that potentially implement or in the process of implementing. Then we take that and localize, look into Cambodia context. Not just take what is, they say, oh, for example, digital ID is good, you need to have it, take it, implement it, doesn't work. You need to find out localize. So what we did with Verify is we do a hybrid VC, verify credential instead of full credential, because if we implement that, it will not work. No one will use it. It just like an example, they trying to citizen to use it. So what they do is they print the QR code, give it to the citizen. The citizen had no use. They just put it on the ceiling and the wall and put it in the drawer. Next thing you know, it disappears. They have to reprint again, or they trying to find way to do it. So it's an ongoing process if you want to implement that. That's why we do a hybrid, which is verify credential. And Verify has been successful. We implemented through public university 100%, private university 24 or 26 ministry have been used. Over 2 million documents are now on Verify credential. And Verify are now in the process of implementing and pilot within ASEAN with 5 countries, Cambodia, Singapore, Philippines, Laos, and Timor.
Sound very complicated from my layman's perspective. Perhaps a dedicated 101 course on this digital identity is helpful. But maybe, Rod, because you help the ministry in doing this trustmark law, right, and regulations, perhaps you've done a lot of research around Cambodia. What is this implemented in other countries? How is this identity verification process is implemented out there, and can that apply or adopt in our approach going forward?
I believe I agree with Wong Excellency. It's very, very complicated and very, very technical, to be honest, even for me, because our background is in a legal field. I believe the digital identification is very, I believe like for Cambodia, the education is not there, the people is not there, and if something is too advanced, it's put for both government and also the citizen at risk, giving that, there's a lot of scam, there's a lot of, outside that where they also can, because it's digital and then they can, change it. So which means that is really quite dangerous for me. Back to our trustmark, how are we going to verify that or digital verifies that? So I have worked with Wong Chatra for a long time, like what is the SOP, standard operation procedure, how are we going to verify that? That's something really, really authority of each ministry, especially Ministry of Commerce, how would they want it to be and how comfortable they are to how it make to happen. So I think like back to our trustmark, if we want to, how are we going to verify this logo that is legitimate and or is it true? So maybe we could make this something as simple as just a QR code, you scan it and then it will pop up in the website of MOC and then it's like, oh, that's the real MOC website that this shop or this company has been, applied for this digital trustmark or trustmark scheme from the MOC. That's something simple as that, but more than that, I don't, I cannot answer that.
Yeah, looks like His Excellency would have something to add in here.
Yes, you mentioned about that. I was going to wait for the third question to bring that up, but maybe I should wait.
Excellent.
You mentioned correctly is that the most important is that how can you identify that trustmark is with trust, right?
Yeah.
How can we trust that the vendor or the supplier or the product itself is coming from the approved or that location of the, for example, when we talk about black pepper, we are GI in Cambodia. How can we trust that that black pepper is coming from Cambodia? Currently, how can we verify it? Not. I don't know. We just trust the name, saying the company or the logo is there. But What we plan to do is that verify is also part of it. We are able to implement saying we can issue a QR code for the company in Compose for black pepper that able to have contain the information of the crop, the location, the yield for that for that lot to be sent out. And the consumer can easily just scan the QR code and check for that information. So that would help build trust, that confidence, saying, oh, if I buy it from this vendor, from this platform, I can verify the source. Not just in a sticker with a name and anything, that's not verifiable. You can change it. You can print a similar sticker, put it on other product, claim to be from Compose, but it's not. But with this, it's unique QR code that you are not able to change. Even myself, I handle and can go into the verified system. I can't change anything because I only put 20% of the data on it. So I can't do anything.
Thank you. Different approach we hear. Chatra from Ministry of Commerce, who is preparing the law. What is the approach there that you already had in your mind for the implementation and supporting the Trustmark implementation?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. It is the very hard one. When the issue comes to the verification, it's quite very complicated and hard process for doing it, because it is not simple as we bring our original certificate to the city hall and then they stamp on it, they say it is verified. It's not the simple process of that. So at least we need to have something, the basic requirement, what is the baseline for it. For example, the name of the company, the criteria that we set in the regulation, how can they apply, they promise to apply or whatever. And when we satisfy with their promise to fulfill this kind of obligation, so we can build off the, I don't know, probably we call the database or data set for them, and then we issue a digital mark for them, the digital trust mark for them, so they can use it and embed with their website or their application or their digital platform. When the consumer want to verify it, they can verify back to our existing database or website. So the issue is that we need to create the baseline or the benchmark for the verification. If we don't have this kind of thing, we cannot verify. This is the issue. So there is two main things that we are consider of it. It's like the regulation itself is the first step. The system itself is another step. And another one is like how we make those two things work together and apply in the real case. So there is a lot of steps that we need to do, but in the perspective, we need to have the regulation, this requirement, whatever 1, 2, 3, or 4, 5 step of requirement, and also in the system, we need to have something that we can monitor and check from our authority, and also people from outside, they can also use our system to verify whether this the real one or this the fake one. So this is what we are thinking. But in terms of technology perspective, how they work is quite complicated to share in the session. But to me, the verification is not easy, especially the digital identity is not really easy. Because everyone, I know the concept of the digital ID is quite varies from people to people, from organization to organization, based on their own objective. So they can define it based on what they need. In some organization, they need, for example, the photo of the people, name, address, or whatever. But some organization, they need the fingerprint or whatever.
Okay.
So the requirement is quite different. The criteria is quite different. When we talk about verification, we need to have the baseline for that. So a lot of things, a lot of steps we need to do. Right. And also, I hope ADB here, and we will continue to discuss the way forward for this thing.
All right, we got our ADB colleagues sitting there. If you want to add something, maybe at the end of the sessions. But from what I heard from the three panelists right now, in terms of the digital identity, we are lacking in terms of the legal, we are lacking in terms of the maybe not so ready yet, in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of the technicalities, right? So Smart, one of the biggest telecoms player in the country, what do you see this as a benefit? Do you see it opportunities where telecom players can work with government bodies in ensuring these digital identity systems to be effective in the country and during the development?
Yeah, I think there has to be this PPP, what we call it, public-private partnerships role. So Smart, in that role, we can play as a securing the delivery and as a verification channel. For example, right? KYC, for example, we can use a subscriber's mobile number probably as the two-factor authentication for digital ID, for example, right? Because they already came with a physical and their identity already for a mobile phone number. So mobile phone number can become their two-factor authentication. So that's probably one idea to also support digital ID. The other thing that is very new this year as well, which is we are going to go to open API. So we're going to open our API, and it is actually announced in Barcelona this year, early this year, that we are going to open and also comply also with the camera standard. We're exploring that channel so that later on the API can be accessed by businesses, fintech, banks, government bodies, as well as e-commerce as well, to be able to use and actually leverage telecom data to be able to help the verification of this digital ID against the national database, for example. So that, of course, with explicit consent. So that's another ways that telecom can help. And this work across not only Smart Axiata, it's been cut across with other providers as well in the country that has committed to also venture into this area to help leverage on this. Last but not least is probably, again, this urban and rural digital divide. We can use our communities in the areas to be able to act as an agent to verify and enable digital ID verifications, for example, in the retail outlets in the region. We can use that to again strengthen the digital ID ecosystem. So that's how Smart as a PPP, private public partnerships can play a role in securing and delivering this digital ID as a channel, enabler, what we call it.
Thank you, Sharif. Looking forward to further positive development in the future in this regard. Let's move on to another topics, interesting, consumer protection. អ្នកនៅខាងក្រោមមានអ្នកណាគេធ្លាប់តម្លាក់លេខតម្លាក់ទីតាំងឲ្យបានរបស់មកអត់មានត្រូវជាមួយរបស់ដែលយើងកំងអត់សុំលើកដៃមួយមើលជាពិសេសគ្នាយើងស្រីៗមើលទៅអូមានមួយចំនួនដែរហ្នឹងហើយរត់ You also raised your hand, right, just now. So my first question to you, working for ADB on the Trustmark. So how do you see this Trustmark, right, playing a role, meaningful role, right, for in terms of this avoiding or in terms of ensuring consumer are protected, right, once the issue arises?
So I think before I go answer the question, maybe probably I share my experience as well. So, it's not more that when you scroll on social media, all these shop pop up, I'm like, oh, it's really trigger. Like, oh, it's nice. I want to save the world. I want to buy a second-hand shoe. I was like, oh, it's Nike. I was like, oh, look nice, cheap. Why not, right? And then when it's arrived, it's fake and it's secondhand. I'm like, wow, okay, it's very interesting, right? So shopping online is like a gambling sometimes. That is why e-commerce trustmark important. So that's that. And then so the question would be what's the role as the law and also the authority to protect the consumer. So according to law on e-commerce, like there are certain responsibility as a service provider, including intermediary, that they have to protect the consumer, including you have to have minimum informations where that all the shop or service provider need to have. For example, you need to have a name, shop name. If you are a registered company, you need to have a company register. You need to have a address, or you need to have for example, also return policy and so on and so forth. These are the minimum information that the shop must have. For example, I don't like my shoe anymore. Can I return back? The shop just disappear, never replies my message. So this is, like this basic requirement that we should have in place to protect the consumer. And on the top of that, we not only have the just a short paragraph on the law, but we all have the separate new regulation on the consumer protection itself that protect the consumer, where also applicable to the e-commerce as well. So I'm not going to go do detail on that. And I believe that this trustmark scheme will play an important role in a certain level of protection to consumer. And I just want to elaborate as well that this trustmark is only verifies the shop information and a certain standard only, but not the actual service or the product itself, because the product and service itself will be governed by other regulations. So
Good.
I hope it's made clear.
Yeah, thank you. I used to have my number blocked by online seller, but it's not an e-commerce platform. It's more or less social e-commerce. So I understand that feeling of being a victim of the scam or something like that.
And also, just bear in mind that people who shop online know that when you give your phone number, name, address, it's very very sensitive information. Like Dr. Tra mentioned, when you give your ABA account, they will get your full name, and then when you give address, not only address but which house, which condo number, and where do you live, and what kind of product do you buy. So these are very very sensitive, very very important personal information. And on the top of that, these people, seller, actually share your phone number with other seller, because if you use Telegram, you will suddenly have so many pop-up group that they sell a certain product, and a lot of times, sometimes they just call you to buy certain product as well. So these are all over the place. That's why I think the regulation on the e-commerce itself or on the code of conduct and also the trustmark scheme very, very important.
All right.
Yeah.
Ministry of Post and Telecom is still working on the data protection law, as I understand, right now.
Correct. Yes.
How do you see the complementarity between the law on the data protection, for example, and also the ministry role in supporting the dispute resolution systems when it comes down to the issues arising from that e-commerce transaction in Cambodia?
Sure. I won't comment too much in terms of the policy and data protection because it's not complete yet. So let's leave for complete, then we have a clear guideline and interpretation on that. Because I don't want to state something that potentially can change, right? How can we help in terms of consumer protection? More to be dispute, right? Dispute can lead many things. In terms of, then we have to really boil down to what kind of dispute, and is it under our jurisdiction or other jurisdiction, But normally in terms of MPTC, we do not have too much in terms of jurisdiction, in terms of handle the dispute itself. However, what we're doing is trying to prevent that dispute. Back to what we discussed about the QR code. We want to identify, saying that how one is identify who is the supplier that's on the e-commerce. So we have to have certain information in place or EKYC or protocol to ensure that that person has, like you mentioned, the name, address, all those basic information that's saying that if there's something wrong, we know where to get you, or where to claim, or how to contact you saying you sent me the wrong product, or so on and so on. At another level, we are looking into, okay, we can manage the company or the person who the seller, but what about the product itself? We discussed a little bit earlier how to track and trace those products. When we buy something, for example, we're talking about the black pepper or the fruit itself, you can't distinguish between the one from Cambodia, Thailand, or Vietnam. So how do you manage that? How do you control all that to ensure that that product is coming from the source, the origin that you're stating? And this will lead to cross-border as well. Is that the most important is that most of the time we can handle saying the company registration, not a problem, but what they worry about is the source of the product, the origin. That we need a system in place that is tamper-proof, that no one can change that information. Because if you have the system, okay, it's come from Cambodia, but you have a system in place that someone, doesn't matter who it is, within that process is able to change that information, then there's no trust in place. So we can work, and we also work in Ministry of Agriculture, Fishery and Forest as well, and trying to implement, I think before was track the rain, recently that the problem with the rain coming from Vietnam. So we are working, utilize the verify system to issue a QR code to the farmer, the farmer that has the batch information of how many the rain is being sent out specifically from that, and that they can also use our DigiPost to scan the QR code that will have the status of in a farm, leave the farm, and which warehouse distribution in place. So that is we're in the process of implementing that and study that, and that is what we can contribute in terms of how to help with the trust.
Thank you so much, Excellency, for your insight. Consumer protection is also one of the mandate under the Ministry of Commerce. The law has been there for 5-6 years now in the implementation since 2019, right? Oh, 6 years, yes. So how do you see the enforcement of the law? The current, existing dispute resolution mechanisms supports the trustmark implementation or build a credible, trustmark in the future once we have that system in place.
Thank you so much, Bong, for this. Actually, the law on consumer protection and law on e-commerce is quite closely related. And also the process of enactment and also promulgation is quite the same time. And those were exactly the same date, the 2nd of November 2019, 6 years now. And based on the law, the Consumer Protection Commission already set up with the sub-degree 135, alongside with the sub-degree on the e-commerce as well. So I can say the e-commerce law and consumer protection law and regulation is quite closely related. And also we are the same team who doing the drafting and also check back and forth on this. Regarding the enforcement of the law, since it is we can say the whole is like the consumer protection is under the supervision of the Ministry of Commerce, but it is dedicated to the CCF. I can say different department for me. I don't have much to comment on that, but I think the step that the government and the ministry taken is quite good. We set up the commission. We set up the procedure for consumer complaint, and also we set up the online complaint handling as well. So there's a lot of work done by the CCF. Back to this kind of mechanism and the e-commerce trustmark. How can it work together, and how can we improve the trust and confidence on the trustmark? So the question seems to be, how could we trust the trustmark? It is the issue of trust on the trust. It is a very complicated thing, because we believe people at the first we believe when we have the trustmark, everything should be trust. But the story is not the end of the day. If the people is not comply, there's still another issue. So how can we deal with those kind of scenario or those kind of situation? So the thing that we discussed earlier, the verification is the one thing. The dispute settlement is also another mechanism that we are thinking of. But somehow the dispute resolution or whatever, we could not apply the same standard to everyone. We understand the situation in Cambodia. Our e-commerce player is not at the same size. Some company is quite big, some company is quite small, some is micro, and some is the one who trade based on the social media platform. So we cannot apply the same standard to everyone. So when design the regulation or guideline itself, we need to think twice. The big one, the middle one, and also the small one. How can we get everyone on board? So at what level, and then also at what criteria we should put in the regulation? So the first thing is that if we put something too light, the big one is, they said, oh, nothing. If we put something too heavy, the small ones cannot carry. So they will fall apart. They will not comply with. So we need to think about how everyone can comply. So I can summary the step for this. The first thing, we need to think about the law and regulation to be put in place. The second thing, we need to think about some certain standard and also some certain mechanism for them to apply for. And also the last thing is like the avocation. Because the avocation is very important. The consumer itself, they can know their right, they can know their action that they choose to do. If those kind of shop is not comply, where can they go and how can they go? They choose to deal directly with the platform, or they choose the third-party intervention, or they choose ministry intervention. There's a lot of layers that we need to provide the flexibility for consumer. For example, the price of goods is just small amount. If they come to the third-party player like the mediator or arbitration, it could be cost them more than the price of their goods. So the flexibility, they can go to the shop itself directly. But when this kind of mechanism is not work, they need to go to the higher level. For example, they come to the ministry, they use the CCF complaint app or whatever. This is the kind of thing that we need to build step by step. So I hope this kind of thing we need to put together as the parcel is not the one single
All right.
activity can be done for all.
Yeah, and complements each other. I see the quietness on the floor. I just want to remind, I would leave at least 20 minutes toward the end of the sessions for questions and answers. So maybe encouraging again, you take notes of all the questions that you may have for our panelists in here. Before that, just an add-on, right? Because consumer protection is something that my project is also working on, supporting the CCF. So currently, whatever described in the provisions of the consumer protection law, and once the law on the trustmark comes and the implementation, what do you see the gaps in there that you need to complement or have additional provision, for example, in the trustmark law that address the consumer right issues? Do you have any perspective to share at the moment?
I would like to share that instead of say gap, we should say complement each other. Because each regulation have different perspective. Like, for example, consumer protection focus on more protecting consumer, while our e-commerce regulation or trustmark more focus on any transaction that done on internet or on platform. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Sharif, I understand you've been quiet for some times. Now your turn. Consumer protection in telecom has not, I think the Ministry of Posts and Telecoms is also in the process of preparing the PROCA on the consumer protection in telecoms. But from your perspective, right, do you see, from your perspective, do you see what are the biggest friction point, right, in handling consumer complaints, not focusing on the telecoms, but focusing on online and digital commerce?
Yeah, thank you, Soka. So being a telecom company, right, we have millions of customers. So we need to get used to also feedbacks from customers, handling complaints, handling inputs, for example. So we are used to that. We are accustomed to be handling that. What we see is a couple of points. Number one is the lack of awareness. Awareness meaning they know, relating to the, let's say, consumers protection law, for example. They know they have, there's supposed to be some protection, but they are not aware of that. That's why we kept on seeing silence over complaint. So they just stay quiet, or they complain it using social media. They just post it in a social media and that's it. And hopefully it will resolve, something like that. So that's what we see, number one. The second is there is a lack of, or what we say, a fragmented complaint resolution channel. So usually, let's say official channels or from the government, they have an app, they have a form, but it is not integrated in the consumer's journey, usually. It's outside the journey that they used to have, let's say, in XYZ e-commerce app. The official complaint is usually outside. So there is another form, there is another app. What we see is this fragmentation is causing this friction so that it's not seamless. Again, they complain using social media. They go back there again. Last but not least, what we see is actually, I think it's mentioned by the panelists just now, the verification, traceability, those stuff is not, let's say, on its matured stage, right? How do we make sure that, getting the real Nike, the original Nike, how do I trace that? So that is what makes, what we think is the biggest also friction. So lack of awareness, fragmentation on the complaint resolution, and last but not least is the traceability, verification, and also the transaction originating identification. That's what we see. And that is the same with our millions of customers. If we can't see that, or if they can't see this, then it's not usable for them. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharif. Keep the microphone with you because it links to my next question. We touched base a little bit on the ASEAN commitment on these trustmark things, right? Because trustmark scheme does not end inside Cambodian border, it cross Cambodian national boundary as well. So from your perspective in the private sector, right, do you see that Cambodian business, right, can leverage this trustmark scheme to expand their operation or activities elsewhere in the region across Cambodian's border?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, being an Axiata group, we operate in 6 countries. What we see this trustmarks is we do it diligently, we keep on socializing, doing it right. I think it can serve as what we call it a third-party endorsement, right? It can even serve as a, what do you call that, ASEAN digital passport, for example, right? So if we do it correctly and it's adapting to a regional standards, for example, and we communicate that, I think it will serve very best to, at least to leverage what ASEAN, at least ASEAN, for trillion GDP in the world, right? It's quite sizable. So I think it is, if we do it right, and I think we are making strides with MOC, with all the panelists here, with all the stakeholders, public, private, government, business owners. I think we're making the correct strides to elevate this into the ASEAN stage.
Thank you. Ministry of Commerce is, I know you guys are working hard on preparing all the legal document, regulatory documents supporting the implementation of the scheme in the future. But what is the outlook in the future? How do you want this Cambodian trustmark to be regionally recognized by other countries in the region?
Thank you so much, Wong, for the question. Yeah, surely it is our ultimate purpose to promote our trustmark to the regional and also beyond the regional as well. To me, I think trustmark is not really the new thing around ASEAN and also around the world. It is quite in some countries they say trustmark is like the old fashioned already. But in some countries, trustmark is still new and also being implemented. In some countries, they shifted the trustmark to purely focus on payment and personal data protection. But in some countries, some perspective like Cambodia, we still need to link trustmark with a lot of things because it's e-commerce, just like the outbreak recently. So people worry a lot about trust, about the reputation of the shop, the advertisement issue, the dispute settlement as well. So a lot of things. That's why Cambodia E-Commerce Trustmark try to capture a very traditional trustmark issue. But some trustmark they develop purely on the payment and also purely on the identity and also some purely linked to the personal data protection. For example, at the DEFA, I can briefly jump in a bit on the DEFA topic. On the DEFA topic, the trustmark itself is only discussed in the provision of the personal data protection, online personal data protection. And also, some countries, they don't want the name, the trustmark itself. They said it's just like a tool because they can have a different tool rather than the trustmark itself. So to me, it is even it is in some context it's an old-fashioned, but Cambodia will try to promote this one because we need to leapfrog the e-commerce and digital trade for Cambodia because we know outside country they did very well already in the sector. In Cambodia, just starting point, and we try to leapfrog this kind of activity. So I believe there is a good starting point for Cambodia business to expand your business to outside the country. And the issue I can say, I can share with you, if we want this kind of trust work at the regional thing, we need a few components to put together. It's like the policy alignment. It's like we need to set up the policy alignment based on the FTA, based on the agreement regionally. The second point, and also the most important thing in the technology, it's like the standard and also protocol. People in the IT field, they will understand when they said, when we discuss about the protocol and standard, they will understand. Because only the same standard and protocol that the system can communicate together. So the system, the issue of interoperability is very important for the regional collaboration. So I will end here because I don't know how much time we left.
We still have some time, a little bit more. ADB is supporting in the Trustmark, right? So what do you see as a challenge for Cambodian Trustmark to be integrated in the future at the regional level?
Education and awareness.
Very simple that.
Education and awareness. I believe that not many both probably customer or consumer probably not aware about this regulation, and some like service provider or online shop, they probably aware of this because they every time they see penalty they scare, so which is good, but it's not enough to the point that you know they can do the business. So that's important that Trustmark plays a role where that you know the authority or the MOC will be the one that to verify a certain standard for this shop to be able to able that the customer can trust them. So I believe that's very important. That is why awareness is very important, not only for the shop owner, but also consumer as well.
Right.
And then on the top of this awareness for the Trustmark, because as Wong Chitra mentioned that, you need to have a certain standard in order to able to obtain this Trustmark. So one of them is the dispute mechanism. Like if, there's, if things go right, it's okay, but what happens if things go wrong? How are you going to resolve this? So it's very important to have a clear mechanism for dispute, dispute resolution. So that's very important. So I believe that awareness is very important, and ADB also have some program for e-learning on e-commerce, which is very, very important. And then, Ministry of Commerce also have working hard on how to bring awareness and also educate other people and all the key players and stakeholders as well. So I think the awareness and education probably the most challenging. Yeah.
Well, over the last 1 hour, we talk a lot about this. And then we hear a lot of good things. We hear a lot about the complicatedness there. But I think one simple question that is so dear to the hearts of the business people, maybe they would ask, do I need to pay the money in order to be certified with the Trustmark and put the Trustmark logo on my website? Do you have a clear answer on this yet, or the regulation still in the development?
Regarding the payment, public, the government fee, the public fees normally we need to have, but at how much or at the whatever level we don't know yet because we are still design. Or probably we can consider another approach as well because the implementation plan is still there. We have a lot of choice to consider which one we are going for. Because during prepare the regulation itself, we look around the ASEAN perspective, the ASEAN documentation, what the ASEAN already have. We looking at this. And also, we also looking at the EU model. Okay. How can the EU work? And also a few comparative study from our expert. It's quite a diverse option for the ministry and also for us to adopt this kind of thing. But let's see in the future. Yeah.
I want to add something. Like if something you get for free is not valuable, but if you if you pay attention and then you expand and something that's very valuable. And also on top of that, imagine if it's free, and then the capacity of the Ministry of Commerce won't be able to do everything at once. So something that's very logical to think about. Yeah.
Our business people sitting down there, this is the message. Nothing is free, but we hope that there may be a lot of, future consultative in the legal and regulatory document development processes that you hear a lot of voice from different stakeholders, including the private sectors as well.
I may add a bit here, but please don't scare our business people here. We are not force you to apply for it.
Yeah.
Remember, it is on your voluntary basis. If you think it is good for your business, you can apply for it. If you think you don't need it, just let it be. So we don't force you to do it.
Yeah, thank you for complimenting to my message. Not to make it sound more very negative, right? His Excellency Wata, last but not least, the last questions to our panelists in here. What's your future outlook in terms of this Trustmark implementation in Cambodia? I mean, from your perspective or from the ministry perspective, how will you contribute to this involvement into the future?
Well, let's boil it down to we talk about a lot about the trust here, and then we're talking about the policy in place. Policies everywhere. We look about it within ASEAN. A lot of countries has their own policy, but then when you cross that border, the jurisdiction kind of lose control of that policy in place. But then now, because everything is digital, that cross seamlessly, people in Malaysia can technically order product from a company in Cambodia. One thing is that there's so many things in play. The consumer has to say, how can I identify that? We'll go into Trustmark. Okay. Then how can I trace that the origin of that product? Not 100% sure yet. Then you have the cross-border issue, which ASEAN has been trying to resolve all along, but could not. Although there is technology out there, like the digital public good infrastructure that globally accepted, they have the interoperability as well as the data exchange platform. A lot of the country implemented similar standard, similar system, but why can't you connect? It's because of the data. They don't want that data to leave the country. So if you don't want that data to leave the country, there's no way you can resolve that. But there are different ways to do it. The new technology, you're able to do it. And again, verify that implementing Cambodia can do it, that we cannot work with Ministry of Commerce to ensure that the system is connected to verify. That means the data never leave Cambodia. So the data would stay in Cambodia, and the system is built in a federated way, meaning the data itself, the original data, do not send it to, let's say we send it to Singapore. The data never leave the country and send it to Singapore. It stay in Cambodia. But Singapore can verify that document because of the infrastructure that we built into verify, then can verify it quickly by just open your phone camera and scan the QR code. So that MPTC can contribute in terms of with the trust mark as well as not within domestically. Hopefully it resolve that cross-border within ASEAN or globally.
Thank you for the insightful sharing. Now with that, I open the floor to collect questions from the audience. If you have any questions to our panelists, please raise up your hand, and then our team colleagues here will hand over the microphone. Please introduce yourself quickly and then come with the questions. All right? Please go. Yep, we have one gentleman out there. Please, microphone. Someone? Yeah, microphone is coming. And for other audience, perhaps you can come up with several other questions as well. Our panelists here, it gives very good opportunities to hear further. Thank you. Please go ahead.
First of all, thank you for an insightful and informative discussion. My name is Tarin. I'm a legal officer from a private company. So my question will be related to additional values of the e-Trustmark, because it role to provide trust to the public. Because when I talk about the role to provide trust to the public, maybe we have some mechanism in place. For example, if a company follow the legally required establishment when it register with the Ministry of Commerce, the Department of Tax, or when the company provide the e-commerce, when the company is the e-commerce provider, maybe the company get the e-commerce license, and when the company provide the cosmetic product, the company register the product with the Ministry of Health. So following all of these legally requirement, the company to some extent has already provided trust to the public. So my question is, what is the additional values of the e-Trustmark to the company, especially for the consumer? This is my first question. And another question is, for now, it may be the voluntary basis. I mean, the company can choose to adopt the e-Trustmark or not. But maybe in the future, it will become mandatory. So when it becomes mandatory, will it become the additional burden especially for the startup company? And as I have known from the speaker is that the e-Trustmark is the government-backed system. So my question is, if the system fails, who will be responsible for that? So from my perspective, because it's a government-backed system, the government will be responsible for that, but it is my personal perspective, and I want to hear from the speaker. And one more question, I would like to ask the questions in the morning session, but since I missed the session, and then I want to include the questions. You know, for now, startup, they try to go online. They try to use the AI, and when we go online, when the company go online, when the company use AI, it requires data. Because AI or online is a data-driven platform, and startup that use the data, store the data on the server of the other company. And when the company store data on the other company server, simply meaning that the startup or the company put the data in the other company computer. So it is possibly that the data can be, it can be, somehow the data can be leaked or shared to the third party without the consent of the startup or the company. So in that case, how can, especially a local startup who use the server of the regional or the international company to store data, can take measure in order to protect the data of its own, to its own consumer or its own client?
Thank you.
Thank you.
3 questions in total. Some up to you. I think the Ministry of Commerce representative here is best for question number 1 and question number 2. And if Rod have something to add, then you can add on. And
Yeah,
I'm not sure whether the third question is really one, but maybe Sharif from Smart, if you can share some perspective on that, or Bong Wata, please do so. Yeah, thank you, Chitra.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bong. Thank you so much for the question. It is a very critical question and come to what is the value added of the Trustmark. Let's put in this way. I think your argument is right. When the company already present the document, present the whatever that are required by the ministry, maybe Ministry of Commerce, different ministry that are relevant to your business. The simple thing is like the government already trusts your company, but from the consumer side, the Trustmark is the thing that we want the consumer to trust your business, the consumer to trust your website. It's not the issue that the government is going to trust your thing. Because the government is already trust on you. That's why the government issue the certificate, issue the permit or whatever for your company to operate. The government already trusts. But the thing is, how can consumer trust your company? How can consumer want to engage your company? The critical issue and also the value added for the Trustmark. And also, I think if one day your company want to expand outside of Cambodia, this at least, I don't know how much the value added for that, but at least it is a kind of signal and also the information that this kind of company is very trust in Cambodia among Cambodia consumer or whatever. Come to the second question, whether in the future we are going to make it the compulsory thing for this, and it should become the burden of the business, because as I say, as the regulator, to me, I'm not the regulator, but the one who draft the regulation. The two important things I think of, one is the legitimate of the document, and another thing, the impact of the document. So that's why we have our expert here who study and make the comparative study on the Trustmark scheme, and also provide recommendation to us at what level we should do what. This kind of regulation is not came in by our own thought. It is came in from the study based on the research, based on the data, based on the information. To what happened in the future, we cannot guarantee. The policy change in the future, we cannot guarantee. But the assurance is that the government never want to put the burden to the business. And we want to promote our business with the trust, safe and secure, and also the compliant culture. This is a very important thought from the government. So I may stop here.
I would like to echo Bong Chatra a bit, because given that he also from legal background, maybe I try to share my experience or my knowledge. So you have to understand that, e-commerce or traditional commerce are not really different. It's just traditional commerce. You have a shop, you have a product or services, while e-commerce where everything on visual, right? That is the reason why we have this law. And then you have to think about what are the applicable regulation or applicable law that one business or each business have to comply. It's normal. It's simple. If you want to sell medicine, you have to have all the license relevant to Ministry of Health. And if you want to put those services or those products on online, then you have on the top of that is the e-commerce service or license, right? So it's really simple. Like if you complain, oh, there's so many requirements, and it's really normal. If you want to do it offline, you still have to comply all this. So these called are mandatory requirements that under existing law. So e-commerce is just one top on existing this law, so it's nothing new, and it's really normal for other countries that to have this, that I have to add on. And then you ask like, what is the add-on value on this? It's really like Bong Chitra mentioned, if other country like Singapore or like some all these developed country, they have all the law and super restrict. If you don't comply, your business gone in the next day, and then you have to pay very heavy penalty. That's the reason why Trustmark not really play important role. While Cambodia is still really, not very mature market yet. The industry is really young. That is why the regulation plays a very important role. And I just want to give just some rational example. Like for example, I sell really like famous or product like we'll say Sila compote pepper, right? And then, for example, Sila compote pepper already famous. It's already in the market, but on the top of that, they want to make sure that I am the one who's the real ones that sells online. And then I want this Trustmark logo on my website or on my page. That's something, that's the add-on. Because there's some other fake seller probably have the similar website and selling similar product, but it's not the real product. So I think this is just an example add-on value.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
yeah.
I got a signal from MC, which is not a very good sign. But I leave 1 minute only, just in
System
case you
failure,
have some
was it?
perspective to share on this question. Maybe.
Okay, so I think Trustmarks as a concept is not, is an assurance that a business meets a certain criteria. It's not a guarantee or is not a protection of failures, right? Protection of failures is, I think, is a different thing. So again, there are sets of standards. There are parties who is responsible for that. Of course, the entity itself. There are laws that is protecting it. For example, consumer laws and everything. So I think it's two different things. Again, Trustmarks as a concept is a set of guidance for a business to be assured, but not a guarantee of potential failures. That's, I think, yeah, that's all.
Thank you. Thank you to panelists, and thank you for your attention. And if you have any further question, clarification, please reach out to, I hope our panelists here are still remain happy, right, to answer all your remaining questions. Thank you so much. And give a round of applause to our panelists here. Thank you. And back to you, MC.
Hello, Cha. សូមគោរពអរគុណចំពោះអ្នកសម្របសម្រួលនិងវាគ្មិនកិត្តិយសដែលបានចែករំលែកនៅការយល់ដឹងអំពីការកសាងទំនុកចិត្តទៅដល់អ្នកប្រើប្រាស់តាមរយៈប្រព័ន្ធពាណិជ្ជកម្មអេឡិចត្រូនិកហើយក៏ដូចជាសារៈសំខាន់នៃការធ្វើធុរកិច្ចឆ្លងដែនរបស់កម្ពុជានៅក្នុងនិមាបនកម្មតំបន់ចាស់ឆ្លៀតក្នុងឱកាសនេះដែរនាងខ្ញុំសូមជម្រាបជូនថាប្រសិនជាលោកលោកស្រីមានសំណួរអ្វីក៏អាចតាក់ទងទៅខាងក្រសួងពាណិជ្ជកម្មបានដែរនៅលេខ 1266 ចាខាងក្រុមការងារយើងនឹងរងចាំទទួលនៅរាល់ចម្ងល់ទាំងឡាយចាសូមអរគុណហើយនាងខ្ញុំក៏សូមគ្រប់អញ្ជើញអាយដាមលោកស្រីដែលជាវិពន្ធវេទយុនឹងអ្នកសម្របសម្រួលមេត្តាបន្តវត្តមាននៅលើវេទិកាជាបន្តទៅទៀតនាងខ្ញុំសូមគ្រប់អញ្ជើញអាយដាមប៉ែនសុវិជាតិរដ្ឋលេខាធិការក្រសួងពាណិជ្ជកម្មអញ្ជើញផ្ដល់កិត្តិយសជូនវត្ថុអនុស្សាវរីយ៍ដល់អ្នកសម្របសម្រួលវេទិកាភាសានិងវាគ្មិនកិត្តិយសទាំង4រូបចា ចាសសូមគ្រប់អញ្ជើញលោកសុខាចាសទទួលនៅវត្ថុអនុស្សាវរីយ៍ពីឯកឧត្តមចាសចាសសូមអញ្ជើញលោកសុខាចាសសូមគ្រប់អញ្ជើញលោក Sharif LUKMAN MAHFOEDZចាសសូមគ្រប់អញ្ជើញលោកស្រីសេងនារីរតន៍ចាសសូមរំអញ្ជើញលោកស្រីសេងនារីរតន៍សូមគោរពអញ្ជើញលោកសំចត្រា សូមគោរពអញ្ជើញឯកឧត្តមជាងវុទ្ធាចាស់ជាបន្តនាងខ្ញុំសូមអនុញ្ញាតក្រុមជ័យឯកឧត្តមប៉ែនសុវិជាតិរដ្ឋលេខាធិការក្រសួងពាណិជ្ជកម្មអញ្ជើញផ្ដល់កិត្តិយសថតរូបអនុស្សាវរីយ៍រួមគ្នាចាស់សូមគោរពអញ្ជើញ